Get this one
Ladies
underway.
and gentlemen, the action continues here at the Slugfest at the Mohegan Sun Arena. And the next bout is scheduled for 8 rounds in the welterweight division, a rematch for the vacant New England welterweight title. It's brought to you by Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. The judges for this bout are Peter Harry Jr., Clark Sammartino, and Don Ackerman. Controlling the action at the sound of the bell, the third man in the ring, referee Michael Ortega. Introducing first, the fighter out of the blue corner. He weighed in at 147.5 pounds. He owns a professional record of 12, 21, and 3, 2 victories by way of knockout. Wearing red, trimmed with gold, representing Norwalk, Connecticut by way of Bridgeport. A former IBC title contender, please welcome Shaka Moore. And his opponent across the ring, boxing out of the red corner, he also weighed in at 147.5 pounds. He owns a professional record of 11-1-1 with 5 victories, coming by way of knockout. Wearing white, green, and gold of Ireland, hailing from Glengad, County Donegal, now living, training, and fighting out of Boston, Massachusetts. Please welcome Michael Donegal Dynamite McLaughlin.
Gentlemen, went over the rules in the dressing room. Give me a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch them up.
Michael Ortega, the third man in the ring, one of the best refs on this planet. Many title fights. This man can do it all. Shaka Moore against Michael McLaughlin, scheduled for 8 rounds in the welterweight division. Michael McLaughlin in the white trunks with the shamrock. Shaka Moore in those dark trunks. You're going to see him both box as a right-hander and as a southpaw. And right now, he's boxing as a right-hander. Michael McLaughlin, just a very controlled, poised southpaw. Randy G., the commish, joined by Cara Castronova at ringside from the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. This one is scheduled for 8 rounds, 8 3-minute rounds.
So it's pretty interesting, like you said before, they're both southpaws, but, you know, when McLaughlin is fighting from the southpaw position, it seems that that is the position that he fights from all the time. And
Shaka Moore loves switching up, and he started as a right-hander. Let's see if he happens to switch back to his much more comfortable southpaw position, but right now he's staying as a right-hander.
Do you have any idea why he would be fighting right-handed when he usually fights lefty, Randy?
Well, a lot of times you just try to deke a guy out of position. You want to see what way he goes, but Shaka Moore loves fighting basically out of southpaw. And there he goes, right, just as we're talking about it. Now he switches around. He said, okay, I showed you a little bit of right-hander. Now I'll do my southpaw thing. A lot of guys do that. There's only one guy that I've ever seen in all the years I'm covering boxing who does it as well from one side as the other.
I was going to ask you that. I was about to ask you, who do you think has done that successfully?
Only one guy has ever done it with the success of marvelous Marvin Hagler. And he came from up in that Boston area, just like Michael McLaughlin. McLaughlin has an 11-1-1 record, 5 knockouts, mainly on the TKO variety. And Shaka Moore, 12-21-5 with but 2 little knockouts. But he can frustrate the heck out of you. And as we've seen many times, guys are in there with the young, impressive record, just like McLaughlin. But they learn something when they get in with a veteran who basically doesn't have a chance of ever winning a title.
Right.
He's 12-21, not going anywhere, but he's an opponent. and he's a good professional opponent.
Yeah, records can be deceiving. Fights could be tougher than they look on record. And this guy, he definitely has the ring experience, and he didn't come to lose.
About 10 more seconds here in round number 1. A very composed man in white. Michael McLaughlin opens it up with seconds remaining. Shaka says, you're not going to do that to me. End of round number 1.
What'd you think of that round?
It was more or less, that was a feeling out round. Michael McLaughlin really wanted to see, you know your opponent. He knows his guy in there has lost many more decisions than he's even had fights. He's lost 21 times. Let's take a look at some of the rather slow action from round number 1.
Definitely a feeling out round. I think Shaka is trying to figure out, okay, am I going to fight righty or am I going to fight lefty?
I think you're going to basically see Shaka stay as a southpaw. Once in a while, he will go back, he'll fight as a right-hander. Just as a little confusion, he wanted a shot of water, and you saw him pull away from his head trainer there who tried to put the mouthpiece in. He pulled away from him, said, no, give me a shot of water. They did. Round number 2 about to start. Referee Mike Ortega, one of the best on this planet.
Interesting that we were talking about Shaka record being deceiving, because he actually won his last fight. And he beat somebody that was 13-2. So, like, you know, you can't take these opponents lightly.
Oh, absolutely. And that was, for that guy, quite embarrassing.
Right.
That took place in Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. It was a 6-round decision for Shaka who in that fight just kept getting stronger and stronger as the fight went on. So you wonder if Mike McLaughlin himself is thinking, I know what happened in that fight. I know that Shaka gets stronger in a fight. Maybe I can't let him
take
this deep.
He beat a guy who was 13-2. You know, the guy was expected to win, and he didn't. So you never know, Randy.
McLaughlin, known as a good defensive fighter. You saw him pick off a wild right hand by Shaka and those jabs of Michael McLaughlin. He loves throwing the jab, the right jab, doubling up on it, sometimes even tripling up on it. They're just that lead left hand. You're not going to hit a guy like Shaka a real veteran, with just a lead left hand to the body like that. And now they're actually stepping on each other's feet. And this is what happens when a right-hander boxes a southpaw. And again, Shaka back as a southpaw. He started the fight as a right-hander. You've got 2 southpaws in there against each other. Referee Ortega is the kind of guy who lets fighters work on the inside, but if he sees them holding on, one arm is tied up, then he'll step in and break them. But he does let them fight on the inside. McLaughlin fighting more of a safety first fight. It looks like he's a little frustrated, moving those arms around, trying to deke Shaka out of position, but Shaka is not going for any of it.
He's throwing a lot of left hands, a lot of jabs. You know, if he follows up that right hand, I think it will land.
McLaughlin threw a nice, about 10 seconds ago, threw a right-left, and they got in. They were grazing shots, but he should try those combinations a lot more. McLaughlin, no baby. He's 31 years old. Final seconds, round number 2, and around the action has been heating up, especially round number 1, that feeling out round. This has not been. There's the bell ending round number 2, a welterweight battle.
I definitely give that round to McLaughlin. I think he was more calculated. He was in there really. He had more of a game plan. He was landing more. What do you think?
No question about it. On my part, the first round, I mean, I gave it to McLaughlin, just a kind of ho-hum. But the second round, no question about it, I gave it to him. And let's take a look at some of the action from round number 2. which really, that action heated up, Kara.
Yeah, that definitely McLaughlin. He's landing more point punches. I mean, he doesn't hit with a tremendous amount of power, but he's landing, and Shaka just needs to start landing more punches.
Michael McLaughlin looks to have, might have had like a little bit of a nick around the right eye. They put some Vaseline above both the right eye and the left eye. He's on his feet well before the bell.
Is it true that Irish guys cut more easily? From your experience watching?
I have always heard that, and I just don't buy it. I think a guy who gets hit a lot, and also if you do have very, very fair skin,
right,
they say that you don't have as much melanin, and the melanin also has to do with keeping the skin more or less tight and almost like not so much cut resistance, but harder to cut. But I asked my co-host on Sirius XM Radio, Jerry Cooney. I said, Jerry, what do you think about Irishmen cutting easier? No, that's baloney. There's
well,
nothing
he's not
to
your
it.
typical Irish guy. I mean,
he said, you know what? You get hit enough shots. Guess what? You're going to cut.
Right.
Or sometimes it doesn't even take a lot of shots. It can be a real hard punch onto the eyebrow.
Right.
And sometimes it's how the bones are shaped. Are they round or are they a little bit jagged or pointed? And sometimes it just takes one shot to bust it open.
What was the worst cut you ever saw?
Oh, I've seen cuts. I mean, just horrendous cuts. And offhand, I can't even think of. There have been so many deep cuts.
Yeah, the Chris Algieri cut, that one when he, Ruslan Pravaknov, that was the worst cut I've seen in a long time, and that was actually Joe DeGuardia's fighter.
Former heavyweight contender Jerry Quarry suffered some severe cuts. This is a welterweight battle. Mike McLaughlin, white trunks. Shaka in the dark, in the purplish trunks with the gold embroidery.
Seems like he's decided to really stay lefty. I think that's what his game plan is for the rest of the fight. I don't think it's a good one. I mean, he's not really he's not effective right now. He's not landing that right jab. His right jab isn't strong, which is the most important punch.
Shaka 40 years young, began his professional career in 1996. And he did it with a win. Once upon a time, he was an undefeated fighter. Then he lost his next 3, and then it was back and forth. He'd win one, lose a few. Referee Ortega gets between them.
Like when a guy loses as many fights as he has, what propels him to keep fighting, Randy? Would he, like a guy like Shaka?
Well, he does have another job, and he picks up some extra money doing this. He hasn't been getting hurt.
Could it really be the money, or is it just the love of boxing?
It's just, it's the competitive. A lot of guys, they just don't like getting out of the game. And he's got that 12-21 record, but he loves frustrating guys. He loves teaching them. And you know what? It looks to me like he's having fun teaching Mike McLaughlin in there.
He doesn't get hit a tremendous amount, so it's not like he's, hurt. I don't think he's to the point where.
And let's take a look at some of that action from round number 3. And it was a round where I still thought that Michael McLaughlin won the round, but it looks to me like he's getting a little bit upset in there and frustrated. And we're going to take a look at some of the action from round number 3. The action. Okay. We are looking into the corner of Michael McLaughlin.
He does look frustrated. I agree.
Yeah. Look at his eyes.
Right. I think he came here thinking this was going to be an easier fight than it is. And Shaka is not an easy person to hit. He's unorthodox the way he moves, so that makes it difficult. And McLaughlin, he's not the most crafty fighter. He's somewhat you see him coming sometimes. So I think he's a little bit frustrated. I thought he thinks it would be an easier fight.
Round number 4, scheduled for 8 rounds in the welterweight division. We're coming to you from the Mohegan Sun Resort and Casino here in beautiful Unclesville, Connecticut. Michael McLaughlin in the light-colored trunks against Shaka in the dark. Shaka 40 years young with a record of 12-21-5. there are a lot of guys. You don't find a lot of guys with this kind of record fighting in the United States.
Right.
Over in England, they allow guys to fight. And there, now, was that a headbutt or was that an elbow? Was that a passing elbow? The way he's rubbing it, that seems to be an elbow. And he kind of forgives Michael McLaughlin for that one. But those elbows and headbutts, oh, they hurt. And that was a headbutt. Randy G, along with Kara Castronova, former New York Golden Gloves champion. In your sparring and in your fights, Kara, you ever get hit with an elbow or take a nice headbutt?
A headbutt is one of the worst things. I mean, usually you're in headgear in sparring, and that protects you from a headbutt. That's really the only thing I think a headgear protects you from. But a headbutt, the head is a hard bone, and it's not fun to get hit with a headbutt or an elbow.
Well, Shaka is back again as a right-hander. He started the fight as a right-hander. He always boxes as a southpaw. He is a left-hander, but he has turned it around again, boxing as a right-hander. If Michael McLaughlin did that, that would be news because he is a left-hander and he fights as a southpaw 100% of the time.
Not an easy thing to do, switch feet. I don't think it's, I think unless you're, like you mentioned before, who you said was Pernell Whitaker, that was the best one that switched? Who you made mention?
Marvin Hagler.
Marvin Hagler. Unless you're Marvin Hagler, you should stick to one or the other, in my opinion.
But when you can switch, many times it frustrates your opponent. It takes him out of his game plan. He's starting to maybe thinking he figures you out, and then all of a sudden you show him an entirely different style.
From the experience I've had fighting people that switch, I find them much easier to fight for some reason. Because there's always one position where they can't fight as well from, and they're going to get hit more from.
Nice combination by McLaughlin here in round number 4. This one is scheduled for 8 rounds, and we're going to head to the midpoint of this fight in about 15 seconds. And I think Michael McLaughlin putting another one in the books, or at least on the scorecards. Competitive rounds, but I think Michael McLaughlin is winning the rounds as he falls over the top of Shaka. The referee gets between them at the final bell.
So you're giving that round to McLaughlin as well, Randy?
Yeah, just 10 right across the board on the top of my scorecard. Michael McLaughlin 10, 10, 10, 10, and all 9s across the board on the bottom.
I mean, he's doing what he has to do. He's doing what he has to do to win.
Okay, Kara, there was a nice headbutt in that, and I don't mean nice in any good way.
See
Bang! You see them come right in.
That was a
They
impact.
both felt it.
Shaka, he's getting hit with those 1-2s.
Yeah, that was accidental. No question about it. Sometimes I've seen guys throw those heads in there. Look, over the years, Mike Tyson did it, Evander Holyfield did it, many of the top pros did it. You know what? This was completely accidental. It does happen. I'm glad that neither guy was injured other than that momentary ouch.
Right.
And Kara, that's not to be compared, the accidental headbutt, to an accidental ear bite.
Right.
Except those weren't accidental. It was one ear, then it was the other ear. One of the strangest moments in the history of boxing. Evander Holyfield actually was up in the studio not long ago, and he said, "What are you looking at? You looking at my ears?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You know, everybody looks at my ears."
I would look at his ears.
Round number 5, scheduled for 8 rounds in a welterweight bout between Michael McLaughlin in the light-colored trunks with the Shamrock, 11-1-1. McLaughlin started his career back in 2010 with a 4-round draw. Then ripped off a couple of victories. Then he lost his only fight to a guy with a record of 1-7.
Wow.
Antonio Chavez Fernandez in Dorchester, Massachusetts, a 4-round decision. And then they had a chance about a year later to get a rematch. And this time in the rematch, Michael McLaughlin beat him on a 6-round decision. So he avenged his only defeat.
And Shaka has been fighting since 2002. I mean, that's a long time to be fighting. What is that going on? How many years?
Yeah, 14. That one, For a moment, you thought there might have been a punch that knocked him down, but it looked to me like his knee just kind of went out. He went down and got up. He knew it was a slip. But apparently his knee did not go out. He just lost his footing, because if his knee went out, he'd be limping around.
The interesting thing about Shaka is he's been fighting. He fights a few times every year. I thought to myself, you know, fighting since 2002, maybe there was a point where he took a couple years off. He never took a couple years off. He's been fighting every single year since 2002. So he must stay in the gym a lot.
He stays in the gym, and he's always ready for the calls from the promoters saying, hey, look, somebody fell out. Can you do us a favor? There might have been a low blow in there, and there's a nice body shot from Shaka, and those shots bothered Michael McLaughlin.
Definitely took a toll on him. I mean, you could see it on his face when he got hit.
And the ref has something to say to Shaka about the rough stuff, the low blows. And look at that. He got away from 3 shots by Michael McLaughlin. This is not a pretty round, but it's not especially a good one for Michael McLaughlin. If anything, Shaka is having his best round of the fight. Shaka not using any energy.
Ooh.
He's just bending, bobbing, weaving, gets shoved back to the ropes with a few seconds remaining in round number 5.
He just got hit with a couple, you know, about 4 straight punches. End of the round, I think that's going to take a little toll on him. Like, he just got hit with about 4 punches really flush.
You know, we thought that might have been a low blow in round number 5 against the ropes, but it wasn't, and it was another headbutt. Wow. Bang, right there. Michael McLaughlin took it on the right side of his, like right above the right eye. He is lucky that just did not pop open. When heads collide like that, skin tends to bust open.
So maybe you were right about the thing about the Irish cut.
I mean, I got to tell you, if Michael McLaughlin didn't get cut from that, I'm not sure what is going to cut him, because that shot looked to be right around the eyebrow. Right. It looks like he might have a little swelling, but if that's all he comes away with, and I'm sure it still hurts him, that ice is going to feel good later on. Round number 6, scheduled for 8 welterweights. Shaka in the dark trunks, Michael McLaughlin in the white with the shamrock on his right leg.
Shaka back to fighting righty now. I think he comes out every round and he switches each round.
Let's see what he does this round if he stays as a right-hander. Again, he started the fight as a right-hander. We know he's a southpaw, but he loves to switch up. Michael McLaughlin makes his home in Massachusetts, but spends a lot of his time in his home of Donegal, Ireland.
Do we know anything? Did he have any type of amateur record in Ireland?
Had a number of amateur bouts over in Ireland. Captured a couple of national championships as an amateur in Ireland. But tonight he is learning a lot from a guy who is 12-21, and I say that very respectfully.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
You know, I don't say that he's in there with a guy who's 12-21. This is a fight he definitely should win.
That was a trip. I think that was a slip.
You know what? They were swapping punches. Shaka got in, but it looked like McLaughlin got it at the same time, and the punch knocked Shaka down. So basically, no matter how the round goes, because this is the pros, this round will be scored by the judges 10-8 for McLaughlin. Again, unless Shaka can change it up, do something here to really impress the judges, and he's going to have to really beat up on McLaughlin or knock him down to do that. 1 minute remains, round number 6. Watch how when the punches of McLaughlin come out, they are swinging for the fences in close. McLaughlin forced to hold on. I was going to say, when they are apart, watch when McLaughlin jabs with that right jab. you're going to see Shaka bend. See how he gets out of the way. He just leans over a little bit to his left.
I mean, that's not, you know, you mentioned McLaughlin had a lot of fights in Ireland. That's not something you see in Ireland. That's more of an American style that he, you know, leaning over a little bit like that. And it's frustrating for somebody who has more of a European style to deal with that type of head movement, that type of unorthodox behavior.
You know, when you say European style, it's basically straight up, hands held high. He's trying to get Americanized. Final seconds, round number 6.
This, like you said, this is a great learning experience. You know, if he comes off the win with this, he will learn a lot from this fight.
Heavy action in that round. These guys are really at each other. Carol, let's take a look at some action from round number 6.
So, yeah, taking a look at that knockdown.
Oh, yeah.
It was a trip and a punch. You know, he hit him pretty hard, then he tripped. So
you know what it was? It wasn't, the punch didn't land with the glove. It looked like it was the right wrist that actually landed on Shaka.
But it was counted as a knockdown.
Yeah. And because of the headbutts, remember that earlier headbutt, there's a nice welt you see right along the outside of the left eye of Shaka.
Both
and
these
they are
guys
putting that ice on it.
They're both going to have bad headaches tomorrow.
Yeah, tonight they'll be going back to their rooms here at the beautiful Mohegan Sun Resort Casino and taking the ice bucket and putting that ice on their face. This is round number 7, scheduled for 8 welterweight bout. Between the 40-year-old Shaka and the 31-year-old McLaughlin. Nice right uppercut by McLaughlin, picking his shot there and then stepping away.
What would you tell McLaughlin to do if you wanted, if you were his trainer? I know you train fighters and you really wanted him to start like winning more clear rounds. What would you tell him to do?
Combinations. He's throwing one punch at a time. Bang, there's one punch. It did land, but many times when he throws that one shot, Shaka bends away from it.
Right.
Combinations. But you see that, what Leon Spinks used to call freaky deaky.
Right.
He's just in front of him, moving his head a little bit, saying, here I am.
Would you would you tell him aim for the chest maybe? Maybe it will land on the head when he does that bend
Very
thing?
good. You know, when a guy moves his head like that, and you're just pot-shotting for the head, many times you're going to miss it. Yes, throw for the neck region, and many times you're going to land those shots rather than miss.
Right. And how about Shaka? What would you tell him?
I would tell him keep the pressure on. I think he's doing a great job on the inside. Many times when he moves in, you see McLaughlin start to hold on.
Right. He doesn't like it on the inside. McLaughlin doesn't have the frame and the stature of a, of an inside fighter. He likes to keep mid-range, so he's not comfortable on the inside. You know,
and again, Shaka with those 21 losses, you got to go back 4 years, over 4 years, when he was stopped in the 4th round by a then undefeated fighter, Derek Silveira, for the USA New England welterweight title. Guy was unbeaten in that fight and stopped him on his feet.
That was a nice 1-2. So yeah, you're right, Randy. When he throws, the combinations, they land.
And there's Shaka doing his best work when he basically assaults McLaughlin.
No, I think Shaka is actually, believe it or not, in a little bit of better shape than McLaughlin. I mean, I don't think McLaughlin's in the best shape he's ever been in. I think that Shaka has a little bit more, he has a little bit more, his stature, he's built better. It seems like he was doing a little bit more road work before this fight. Or maybe that's just the way that McLaughlin's built. What do you think?
Haven't seen all that much of him, but he looks like he's in real good shape. He's just got to move those hands a lot more. Gets hit with one good right hand and another good right hand. Ortega gets between them at the bell. Shaka was starting to unload on McLaughlin at the bell.
McLaughlin definitely saved by that bell. And there's blood. There's a lot of blood. Is that blood coming from McLaughlin on his chest? Now he's starting to bleed. So this fight's, I think this fight's going to change direction a little bit.
Now, they have been banging around in there, and I am not sure if this was another headbutt. They have butted about 3 or 4 times. There's a chopping right hand by McLaughlin. But let's see here when they fall together. Yes!
Yeah. Definitely a headbutt that causing the blood there. That looked a little bit more intentional on the part of Shaka. You know, he's a veteran. He knows the dirty tricks, you know.
You know, you might say that it was intentional. He was coming in, and then he dove in, and the right side of his head caught the side of the face of McLaughlin. And here we go. They touch gloves. 8th and final round. Let's see if McLaughlin plays it real safe. I've got him up by 4 points. So let's see if he just stays on the outside, doesn't take any caution whatsoever. He just stays on that outside, doesn't take any chances.
Right. Well, he's best on the outside, Randy, like when he's throwing those straight punches down the middle, you know?
McLaughlin very happy on the outside. Just keeps moving around, keeps moving to his left. So now I'd love to see Shaka switch up.
Right. Shaka looking for that, like that big punch. He's just looking for it.
And Shaka has got to cut that ring off because he knows which way basically McLaughlin's going to go. He's going to step over to his left. What you got to do is cut his escape route off. Take another step over to your right. He's just following him in a circle. Step to your right. There he tried to do it, but he's just not putting the pressure on. He takes a step, but he's not coming in. He's giving Michael McLaughlin too much room. McLaughlin ahead in this fight, I think.
Right.
That's why he's fighting as he is. He's just not going to take any chances anymore with this 12 and 21 Shaka, who has basically given a class tonight to Michael McLaughlin. He's learned a lot from it.
That was.
We're going to call that a slip.
That was a slip.
Oh, that was the left hook.
Was it a left hook?
Some of the fans around us seem to think that was a left hook that might have sent Michael McLaughlin down, which would make it a 10-8 round, but the referee did not call it as such. I thought it might have been a slip, not a knockdown.
Definitely.
McLaughlin bleeding from the right eye. 3-punch combination, then he gets out of there.
Fighting a very careful round.
1 minute. Oh, man.
45 seconds remaining in the 8th and final round. Shaka going to have to fight out of desperation now. Just going to have to come in and rumble. Let's see if he does that, which he's doing right now. McLaughlin got his hands high. About 20 seconds remain.
Let it all hang out. 20 seconds.
McLaughlin on his bike, grabs on for dear life. 10 seconds remain. 8th and final round.
Oh.
Oh.
And the final bell. This has been a very interesting fight.
Very interesting. What'd you think? What was your take on that last round?
You know what? Let's go with Shaka. I'm actually going to have Shaka winning. Shaka is going to be losing this fight, but not by a heck of a lot.
Really? What do you have on your scorecard?
I'm going to have him losing by 1 point. Oh, is this going to be a close one? I am not going to be surprised if it's going to be a little bit wider than that. But I was a little generous in some of the slower rounds, and I gave Shaka because of his constant pressure in the fight. Very, very interesting fight. 8 rounds between 11 and 1 Michael McLaughlin and 12 and 21 Shaka. If you didn't know who had what record, you might have said it was the other way around, but this was a very close fight. It was a very competitive fight. Maybe not close, but yes, it was competitive. There was not one round in the fight that was not competitive. And there you see Shaka rubbing one of the areas where he took a headbutt. They each were butted about twice tonight, and I'm surprised that both guys' skin held up. Although Michael McLaughlin is bleeding from a cut around the right eye from a headbutt. But that headbutt, it could have been a lot worse, and they did a great job in the corner stopping the flow of blood.
It's just such a hard fight to score, I think.
It really is going to be
difficult. It's like the
really.
style.
I want to see how the judges are going to have this one scored. I had it 5-3 in rounds from Michael McLaughlin. So again, there it is. 2 points. I'm going to have McLaughlin winning, not 1 point, 2 points. 5 rounds, 2-3. Let's see if I'm on the money with the scoring.
Yeah, I don't want to even make a prediction because I really don't know what the judges. I think a lot of the judges, it just depends on what kind of style they prefer.
And the respectful congratulations to each other, walk over to each other's corner. The scorecards are being marked. And speaking of mark, our Mark Fratto has those cards. He knows what the scores is, and he's going to tell us who won this 8-round welterweight bout. Mark, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards for the decision. Judge Peter Harry Jr. saw the bout 79-73. Judges Clark Sammartino and Don Ackerman saw the bout 79-72. All 3 judges in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, and the New England welterweight champion from County Donegal, Ireland, and Boston, Massachusetts, Michael Donegal Dynamite McLaughlin.
Michael McLaughlin's face told me that he wasn't sure.
He definitely wasn't
This
sure.
was a tough fight. This was a learning fight for that man who won his 12th fight tonight. Michael McLaughlin, the punches hurt, the headbutts hurt even more, but the victory sure was sweet. Our Cara Castronova jumping up into the ring to try to get a hold of Michael McLaughlin and get some words out of him. I had it a little bit closer. Our Cara stands by with McLaughlin.
Congratulations on a hard-won victory. When they announced the decision, your reaction, you seemed to be very emotional. Was it because you were surprised that the fight was so high in the scorecards in your favor?
No, it was kind of a rematch. We fought in March, and I thought I was ahead in the scorecards then, and then it was an accidental headbutt. I got 8 stitches in my right eye and my other eye glued, and then it wasn't past the 4th round back there, and so it didn't even go to the points, and I knew I was ahead, and I knew the title should have been mine anyway, so I really wanted this rematch, and I want to thank everyone that came up to follow me. I couldn't have done it without them, so I'm happy now. I've won the title, you know.
Did his switching from southpaw to righty have any effect on your game plan?
Not really, because we see maybe the first fight, but we knew what he was going to be doing. I worked with Kenny Butler and Martin Grealish, my 2 trainers there, on when he's switching his stances. You know, we're really prepared for him this time. You know, so I'm just delighted with the one. I got the title. It's mine.
Well, congratulations on the title. You deserve it. It was a hard-won victory, and looking forward to seeing your next fight.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank everyone that came up to follow me. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, Randy.
Nice job, Cara. Here's some action from that fight. And there was action. The only round there wasn't action was the first round. They felt each other out. Then they went at each other. Michael McLaughlin in the white trunks with the shamrock faced a guy who was 12-21. So you had 11-1 against 12-21. The 11-1 became 12-1. But you know what? He may have won the fight, but he learned a lot more about professional boxing tonight.